found a way to market specifically to our consumers. Once they're opted in, we have a channel that we can hit them with. How are we going to get them to opt in? When they're in our brick and mortars, they can actually send a text. They can scan a code. They can shop pricing. They can engage with us in our brick and mortar, and we can start tracking that and tying that back to our CRM, closing that loop in our marketing plan. So when a consumer is in our brick and mortar retail, they scan a code, they redeem an offer, they go back to my POS system, and if they're not a member of my loyalty program, I'm getting a redemption of the coupon. I've closed the loop, I've made it full circle, I've given the consumer what they want, always a give take. But I, as the retailer, have also captured an email, captured a mobile phone number that I can begin to remarket to. 60% increase in mobile spend over the next 2 to 3 years. It's the biggest chunk of marketers' dollars that they're investing in, short of maybe a website redevelopment, which, how many here have a website currently under construction, or redoing, or rebranding, or revisiting? That's the story of any marketer's life. Where are we? Oh, we're going to start over, we're refocusing. We're going to redo, reskin our website. We're going to make it more immersive. We're going to add this. It is an evolving process to get that exactly the way it needs to be. It needs to be a vehicle to opt in. It needs to be a vehicle to get information. And the mobile is a way to be able to attract attention to that, or get them to opt in from that. We're now marketing instead of to the desktop, via email, via our website, to the pocket, in the purse. For the first time ever, we've got consumers that can take instantaneous action. I started out about 4 years ago pushing SMS text messages for a golf course here in Columbus, Ohio. Sorry?
Go Bucks.
Yeah. I do the alumni campaign for both Kansas and the Ohio State, so I'm kind of torn this weekend as to what's going to happen. I figure it's a win-win either way. But I've been receiving heated emails both sides. But we started out with this golf course, and I came in and I said, hey, you know what, look, you've got a whole bunch of people here as a group that are coming and visiting your golf courses. There's a huge membership. We're passionate about golf. Let's just try this. Let's see if we can capture some text messages or some cell phone numbers and start pushing messaging out to increase slow times in your day. So we ran a campaign, captured a bunch of SMS or emailed, cell phone numbers. 3 o'clock on a Friday, course is dead. They can now push out a message that says, hey, get here by 5 o'clock, and your first 2 years and your car are free. Instantaneously. People are showing up. They weren't otherwise going to show up because I can't direct information to the mailbox that way. I can't send out a newspaper ad that's going to do that. I can't put a television or radio spot and get anything in any kind of traffic to get that fast. But now we have the ability to really move and motivate consumers. Now, we learned a very valuable lesson 3 or 4 years ago because they tried to do it every Friday. We as email marketers learned that as well. You can't send out that same message 3 times a week and expect people not to opt out. But it was the base, it was the infrastructure of how to start communicating effectively on this platform to where the end user takes action instantaneously and there's value. What you need to know about SMS, it's been around the longest as far as mobile feature phones. You've got the majority of the population that can actually access SMS through feature phones, which is fantastic. Anybody that's got a teenager knows that they text about 15 to 2,000 texts per week. That's pretty strong. 8 trillion text messages were sent in 2011. That's huge. How do we get a part of that? How do we cut off a piece of that pie and have our name in there, our brand in there, our consumers communicating with us through that? 3.5 billion devices are enabled. That's huge. That's a huge market space. But we have the ability to have that market space take instantaneous action. One of the case studies and examples I want to share with you is Macy's. Macy's is an early adopter of mobile, and they are brilliant marketers. Thought it through before they went to market, put a plan together as how they were going to bring it into their marketing mix, and then executed that plan. Novel idea, I know. But a lot of people want to go to market real fast because it takes an investment, it takes time. They thought it through. They started 2 years ago. They started in 2009. They started to add keywords into their traditional media, magazine circulars. I think this was from Elle magazine specifically. They started adding it into their television spots, their in-store signage, their brand format. They wanted to capture cell phone numbers. Once they captured that cell phone number, they delivered a URL to have them opt into email. And I think Joel Book showed you several examples of Scott's doing the same thing, Volvo doing the same thing. This is how to make that text that otherwise 4 or 5 years ago was a whiz bang. Neat, I can send or receive text messages, I can get people to opt in wherever they are, I can get people to engage, but I want their email address. I not only want to be able to communicate with their pocket, but knowing that if I communicate with their pocket or purse, it's got to be valuable, it's got to be right now, it's got to be real time. I can start marketing more frequently to that email box to get a better understanding of who my consumer is, and then push that SMS out. Because then it's got real value, it's got real time, it's got real meaning, and then I don't have to use it, leverage it on. They have a call to action, it's a give-get. I work with a lot of retailers, brick and mortar retailers that are budgets and margins are thin. They're used to the give-get game, but they figure, hey, you know, I'm tired of giving stuff away to get something. You can make it fun, you can make it immersive. You can ask for a cell phone number, send the text in, deliver that piece to them, that QR code, or I'm sorry, that dimensional barcode or one-dimensional barcode that they can scan into their POS system so you can track them instantaneously. But they can get, I don't know, the one case we did a free case of water. I think the brick and mortar's cost was like 65 cents on a case of water. They gave away a case of water. We increased by 30% the loyalty program. We delivered back a URL. They then captured that email address, and now we've got new members of our loyalty program, which is essentially the same thing that Macy's has done. They put the SMS, the keyword, in the traditional media, send the text. They're going to deliver the response that has a URL to capture that email address. Now we're starting to build a subscriber base. Now we're starting to build a good, solid CRM solution. They integrated that with their online presence as well. If we're going to capture an email address, then capture a mobile device as well. If people want push messaging, then let them get it. We don't want to alienate anybody by only having a very singular opportunity to adopt or get included. Best practices still apply. We've all gone through our websites and said, well, geez, we want to learn all this information about how many kids they have, how old they are, what they're interested in, what they buy, what their purchase histories are, where they live. Nobody filled out those surveys. It's too intense. People don't want you to know that much information about them. But if they can redeem a 10% off offer, they'll give you their cell phone number. It makes sense. Macy's has evolved their marketing program. This is where it's really starting to get cool and fun. As an early adopter, they've got a solid database. Now they can go out to their partners and start remarketing to that solid database on relevant information. I'm not a big fan of the show. I think I've seen it once or twice, but Fashion Star, NBC. Anybody watch it? Anybody see it? There you go. If you're in their loyalty program, they're going to text you a message to remind you that it's on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Hey, that's pretty strong in and of itself. Partnership, collaboration between NBC, Macy's. Macy's is providing a lot of clothes. In that text message, there's a URL that while you're watching that show, you can hit that URL and hit their mobile e-commerce site. Now you can make purchases of the clothes that you're seeing on television right there in front of your TV. Again, how are people using mobile? Tablets? At home, when they're watching TV. That's when they're making buying decisions now. That's when they're making their research on what they're going to buy, perhaps in the brick and mortar tomorrow. So it's tied all together. It's a completely closed loop. But now they're tying it back to the loyalty system, so it's just going to continue to grow. Email, traditional, it's all coming together with mobile. Redbox is another great example. These guys really started to leverage social. How many of you guys have seen this campaign, research this campaign? Phenomenal campaign. I've been for 2 weeks. I'll show you the results here in a little bit. They not only put their traditional piece, they've got a big sticker on all the red boxes. They've already got a really good brand awareness position in the marketplace. They leverage their email CRM and pushed out messaging to all of their people and said, hey, we're running this great offer, this great ad, text to win, yada, yada, yada. They leverage their social by creating take a picture of yourself hugging a Redbox kiosk and send it to a friend, make it social, pass it on. They had a huge and promote it widely across their television and their other traditional media means. They generated 1.5 million text messages. What I'm interested in, they created 200,000 new SMS subscribers in 2 weeks. My question was, can they handle that? But you're talking the ability now of 200,000 people to push a message if you want $1 off the video. If you want to get some kind of a new release program that you're going to go to Hollywood and say, hey, you guys give me your new release. We're going to promote it. We can get 200,000 people as soon as it hits our Redbox instantaneously. Now you've got marketing momentum. Now you've got a real talk track that you can have to generate additional lines of revenue, perhaps. All of which, with these last 2 case studies and scenarios, we're focused on the end user, the consumer, their experience. How immersive was it? What did they go through as a consumer to opt into my brand or my product or my service? Mobile optimized websites. These are fantastic. I'm a big fan, a big believer. I work with several companies that's all they do. There's a right way and a wrong way. Mobile optimized websites aren't just taking your current website, adding a short tail to it so it optimizes on a smaller frame. Still, it's there, but it's very hard to navigate. Oh, sorry, that's your question. It's very, very hard to navigate. So we want to make sure that end user is now becoming immersed in our experience, but that mobile optimized website is going to be a scaled down version based off of what they're going to be viewing on. What we're seeing across many, many templates is a tab feature. As many tabs as you want. Hook it up to a brand. I'm going to show you an example of a brick and mortar retailer. They've got 8 different departments. They've got 500,000 SKUs in their books with 8 different departments. So we created a tab for each one of those 8 different departments. People can navigate directly to there. Within 3 clicks, they can find the product that they want. Within 2, I'm asking them to give me an email address so they can redeem an offer in store. Again, closing out the POS system. The beauty of the increase in the adaptability of all of these mobile devices and mobile platforms is it's happening right now. It's growing. People are accessing that mobile optimized website. So as important as it is to make sure that your house, your website is effective means of product knowledge, of videos, of content, of opting in, of sharing information, we also need to make sure that all of that is here. What I typically talk to my clients about when you're going from a standard website to a mobile optimized website, what's the customer using it for? There's a theme. There's a theme, and it's how the customers engage with my brand. What are they looking at? How often are they clicking on this tab? If it's less than 30% of the time that you're spending on your main site, don't even put it on your website or your mobile site. It's extra clutter. We want it real, we want it right now, we want it right in our pocket, in our hand. So that means we have to scale down what we think is all of this great content, because we spent many, many years, in fact, last one was building these huge websites with multiple pages and multiple opportunities, which is great, but it doesn't translate well to here. Statistics are showing us that by 2015, mobile searches are going to outweigh actual desktop and land searches. That's pretty strong. 86% of mobile internet users are using their devices while watching TV. We covered that. Ultimately, it's about the end user experience. Yes, sir.
Question on mobile sites. This is something where I'm completely without a portfolio because I'm not a web designer. My question is this. For companies that have a team internally that has responsibility for the design and maintenance of their corporate website,
Yep.
do they have, based on your experience, do these gals have the same experience to be able to translate that over into designing a site that's going to work well on my iPhone or work well on my iPad, or is that a whole separate skill set?
That's a great question. And I would say I see about half. There's a lot of really great organizations out there that can come in and take the best practices that you've got, the principles that you've got in your website that your team has worked hard to develop, and create a mobile optimized site, a sister site that's going to be more immersive on a mobile platform. There's as far as a build, how many IT people do we have here? All right, there you go. There's 2 different types of data. You're building it very similar, but you're using your website to be consider it, Joel, you shared with us motorcycle.com or motorcyclesuperstores.com. They're an e-business. They don't have a brick and mortar, so you know what their brick and mortar is? It's their website. It's huge, it's immersive. You walk in and you have an experience. They've done very, very well at that. Very, very well at that. You have to take those same programmers that did that and take them completely out of that mindset and say, okay, now we're going to put you in a small little box and only deliver real, relevant, right now information and content. So there is a huge differentiation. To answer your question, it's about 50-50. Some folks have the talent to be able to build it in-house. We typically, as far as my organization, typically recommend going outsource, whether it's with us or somebody else, to be able to at least bring a fresh thought, a fresh look as to how they can actually access that site.
I have a question.
Please.
Talking about optimization, how would you handle connectivity? Because indoor, outdoor, what would they, and if there's variance.
Right. I would suggest everybody go out and get 4G. I didn't get a plug for that either. No, you're absolutely right. And that's what happened with these QR codes. These QR codes came out, and you can do a Google search, and I've seen, we've all seen the craziest things done with these QR codes. The bandwidth is important. Connectivity is important. Accessing the web, period, is important when you're talking about mobile optimized sites. So how much content do we really want to put in there? Because the more content we put in there, the slower it's going to take to load. The slower it takes to load, the less our end user is going to be engaged, the quicker they're going to drop off, and now all of a sudden we're back to square one of a non-user immersive experience. So we have to be mindful of how people are going to be consuming this as well. Walmart, great example. I have not worked with Walmart, but yet every time I'm in a Walmart store, again, looking at fish, I can't call my wife to see if we already have that fish because there's no, it's like lead line. I don't know what they do. I don't think they want their people to get out. Exactly, kind of like this building. So